Hello, everyone, and welcome to the class. This is David A. Cox with PCClassesOnline.com. Today we are talking about the brand new operating system for the Mac known as Yosemite. This class is being recorded live. We have people tuning in from all over the globe. I can't even mention how many different countries we have right now. This class is also completely sold out. For any of you out there who are watching this class after the fact, if you're watching it on either our website or on YouTube, you are more than welcome to check out our live classes. We are a free public service. You can, of course, find out all the information at PCClassesOnline.com. So today we're talking about this new operating system called Yosemite. One of the things I like to mention at the beginning of every class is the date. It keeps things relevant so that people understand, yes, technology changes very quickly over time. So for those of you who are watching this online, if it is significantly further into the future, things may have changed. So just be aware of that. Today's date is October 22nd of 2014. Part of the reason why I want to mention that is that as of the way it is today, Yosemite, in my opinion, is really not ready for the public. I think it really is in more of a beta phase, certainly the near end of a beta phase, but I don't think it's really ready for the public. And I have partially an explanation of the reason why. Part of it is you have to understand what's happening with Apple. And part of the big appeal of Yosemite is this feature where basically everything's coming together. They refer to it as continuity, so that you can start something on one device and finish it seamlessly on another, or pick right back up where you left off. This is where this gets complicated. So Yosemite and iOS 8, which is the operating system for the iPhone and the iPad, has a very, very close relationship. And the problem with the way that these things are becoming is that it feels to me, personally, that really all of these things need to come out on one date. Because it feels like if they release iOS 8 and then they don't release Yosemite for another month, it's going to throw people off. It's going to cause problems. It's going to cause headache. And really, isn't Apple supposed to be all about things just working? Well, as of today's date, there are still quite a few issues that have yet to be worked out. Some of them, even today, I can't really demonstrate to you. I will have to kind of describe them. I will do, of course, the best job that I can. So let's talk about what you need in order to get Yosemite. The minimum requirements for Yosemite are 2 gigs of RAM and at least 8 gigabytes of free space on your hard drive. Now, if you're not sure what you have, the easy way to find out is just go to the Apple icon at the top left of your screen and click on About This Mac. Now, on that screen, that will show you how much memory you have. If you're on Mavericks right now and you want to find out how much hard drive storage, you'll need to go into where it says More Info. And then on the next screen, there's a little tab for storage. And so that'll show you how much free space you have. Here's my recommendation. In order to use these technologies, they do use more and more resources. That's why, usually when the next generation, whatever device it is, usually has more storage and more RAM, also known as memory. In my opinion, I don't think that you can really run Yosemite well on any device that's running less than 8 gigabytes. So if you have less than that, you may want to go to your local Apple store or dealer and see if there is an option to upgrade your computer so that it has a little bit more memory. Since this class is going to appeal largely to a crowd that is at what I would describe as a new to new-ish user level, I want to just briefly describe a piece of terminology just to clarify something, because a lot of people get mixed up with this. Memory, also known as RAM, is different than your hard drive. A lot of people confuse those terms. So I would like to give you all the metaphor that I tend to use when I'm teaching in front of a real live audience instead of virtual, just to clarify this. Think of your computer as if it were your kitchen, okay? Your hard drive is your cabinets. It's your storage. How much stuff do you have? To really run any computer well, you need at least 20% free. After you have less than 20% free, it is normal to have glitches and errors start to happen. So if you have that now, before upgrading, you may want to either consider upgrading your hard drive or going through and clearing out some stuff off your computer. By the way, we do have a few classes on PCClassesOnline.com about finding little tricks to clear space off of your hard drive, little things that maybe you never realized that live there that take up a lot of space that you may or may not need. So that's all there. You can check that out if you need it. Now, your RAM is like your countertops. So if I was going to bake a cake, would you really want to have to put away an ingredient every single time you need to add an ingredient? So you add one, you put one back, you add one, you put one back. Well, it's much better to have a large countertop because then you can have all of your ingredients out at once. In terms of RAM, think of it like if on my computer, if I want to have the computer check my email while I'm playing music, and meanwhile I'm surfing the web and maybe also doing a FaceTime call in the background, something like that. That's multitasking. Multitasking requires RAM. So the way that Yosemite works, it does require a good amount of muscle power. So for that, you really, in my opinion, need at least 8 gigabytes of memory. To get it, all you have to do is go to the Apple icon, go to the App Store, and you will see that in Featured, which it should open to right off the bat, it'll either be right up here at the top. If you're watching this class significantly into the future, it will be over here at the bottom right-hand side. Just under where it says All Categories, it should say OS X Yosemite. So you can click on that. The whole installation process, for me, it took about half an hour after it had actually downloaded. And one other tip I always like to give: anytime you upgrade an operating system, always back up your data before you do it. If you don't know how to do it, there's a class on Time Machine. You can take a guess at where you can find it. So the big appeal of Yosemite, it's about bringing everything together. It's this new graphical interface. If you look at the dock down here, you'll see all of the icons are very, very flat. Okay, which is now a good thing, apparently. I never heard of flat and thought that was associated with a good feeling. Anyways, it is now, apparently. So there you go. So a little bit of a new look. There's a few new features. I'm going to walk you through all of them right now. So the first thing we're going to do is start with probably the most important place to go over, which is system preferences. By the way, little note here. Notice something missing? There's no longer software update here. The reason for that is that most people just have it automatically update now, which is done through system preferences, but just found it interesting that they took that off the list. So starting with the general settings, this has probably the most important items that we're going to go over here. When Apple was first showing off Yosemite and how it works, how it looks, just check on the recording. Good. They showed this new dark mode, okay? And it's right up here at the very, very top. It says use dark menu bar in dock. And you can see what it does. I just turned it on. So if you look at my dock is now dark, as is the top menu bar. It's one of these features where I feel it's going to be cute for about a week, and then you're going to realize it's just silly and you're going to turn it off. So in my opinion, I'd probably skip on that one. I might as well mention this. This is not a new feature, but for anyone out there who is a little annoyed by the fact that the scroll bars are gone off of, for example, Safari and different apps, you can actually turn them back on. It's here under the general menu. It says show scroll bars, and you can just change it to always. Again, that's not a new feature. Figured I'd mention that. This one I found very strange. Default web browser is now under the general settings. So if you use Safari, you can change it to Safari. Now here's a strange thing. Look what else pops up. For whatever reason, it picked up as Evernote and VLC, which are not web browsers, as being web browsers. So there you go. Might as well mention it. Over the time, my opinion has really changed about what is the best web browser. For the very, very long period of time, it was Google Chrome. Just they had so many different features. Google Chrome hasn't been great lately. So right now, for those of you who may be curious, I actually am using Safari. I've just found it to be a little bit better. And especially when you consider some of the iCloud integration that it has, it's been working pretty well for me. So you can check that out. Another important feature here at the bottom, this is one of those features that's not really working perfectly right now. I think I'm hoping that I can get it to work today to show to all of you, but this is where you can enable handoff. So an example of handoff is I could say be walking through the hallways and I'm checking out a website on my iPad. I come into my office and I want to pick up where I left off on my Mac. So by doing that, let's just do it right now. I've got my little iPad right here next to me. Okay, I've got a website open. You'll notice if you look here at the bottom left corner, okay, see how Safari just popped up next to Finder? Okay, so if I click on that, it'll go to the website where I left off, which has banking information, so probably a horrible idea for me to do that right now, in case I'm trying to get my identity stolen today, which, not today. You will notice the button up here at the very top of System Preferences has changed just a little bit. Okay, now it looks like these little dots here that just gets you back to the main screen. Next feature we're going to talk about, very, very minor one, but here under Desktop and Screensaver, you will notice that under Desktop Pictures, which we have up here at the very top, we have a ton of brand new images. Not really a ton. Okay, we've got like 5 new images, but these are all of, yay, Yosemite. So there you go. So if you like photography, you can use that. Or you can do what most people do and just use your own photos, whatever that may be. For now, I'll go to my shameless self-promotional graphic. The next feature we're going to talk about here is we're going to go into Spotlight. Spotlight got a major, major overhaul. For those of you who are fans of the Mac, you may have seen or heard of or taken the class that I offered. There's this little app. It's an add-on for the Mac called Alfred, and it's been one of the best apps to come out, especially in business. It's just tremendously helpful and incredibly powerful. You can use it for very little things. You can do it for very large gigs, but it's a really great app. If you've never seen our class on it, it's worth taking the time to check out. But Spotlight now has quite a few of the same functions that you would find in Alfred. One little trick I thought I'd show you right now, something I didn't even really know this, I had to look it up, but if you're ever just kind of on your computer and you want to launch Spotlight, there is a hotkey combination. It's Command Spacebar. I just didn't ever use it because I had always used Alfred. That's my excuse at least. But now you can search so much further than just what's on your computer. In fact, Spotlight now is very much like the Spotlight you'll find on an iPad or an iPhone running iOS 8. So what it means is that if, for example, I want to look up a movie, okay, that is playing in theaters right now. This is going to be a horrible example since we have no movie theaters where I live. Let's say I want to look up a restaurant, okay? Instead of having to open up Safari and go to Google, okay, I could just go to Spotlight either by clicking on the little spyglass up here at the very top right, or the trick that I just taught all of you, Command Spacebar, and just type. So now it's going to search beyond your computer. You can search things that are available in the iTunes store, apps that are available, movies that are playing near you, restaurants and business locations, phone numbers, really anything that's in the Apple Maps program. You can find that information. It's really, really handy, so you can check that out. The thing I want to also mention about Spotlight is for those of you who are in a situation, usually it's like a work environment kind of thing, where you have people looking over your shoulders, or maybe you're giving a presentation and you don't want certain things to pop up on the screen at the most inconvenient moment. I do want to give you a little trick here. See over here the tab that says privacy? Okay, you can tell Spotlight to ignore certain locations so that they don't accidentally pop up. You all know what I'm talking about. Tax documents, that's right. Tax documents. No one wants to see your taxes. And yes, taxes is code for something else. The next thing we're going to talk about here is notifications. Notification Center got a total makeover. I think this is a good thing. It needed a makeover, and it's very, very clean. It looks very good. There is a do not disturb mode. So let's say you have a laptop, you're sitting in bed, okay, the person next to you maybe doesn't want to hear every ding for every notification, whether it's an email or a Facebook notification, whatever it may be. So you can tell your computer, hey, between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m., I don't want to hear a ding. So it's going to mute it. Another handy feature, actually, once again, for anyone who happens to give presentations, you can say that when you're mirroring your TV, for example, through Apple TV, through AirPlay, you can tell it automatically, do not disturb mode. Okay, because the last thing you want to do is be giving a really big, important presentation to very powerful, rich people, and then you get a text message from the person who you really didn't want to hear from, and it appears on the screen for everyone to see. Very, very bad. Never happened to me. So you can also go through, of course, Notification Center. This is not really anything different, but you can go through and tell it exactly what kinds of alerts you want. You can have it be just a little banner that you see at the top right. Okay, you can make it an alert that you have to actually click on to get it to disappear. In my own personal opinion, I'm really not a fan of notifications. I feel like I have enough pop-ups in my everyday life. The only exception to the rule, for me personally, is calendar. I do like banners for calendar, but that's about it. So you can check that out and just go through and set it the way you like it. Another thing I want to mention, and I don't know if any of the people who are here live right now experience the same thing, but I noticed that on my computer, and I use the normal copy that everyone else gets. This is not a developer copy. I noticed that when I upgraded from Mavericks to Yosemite, a lot of my preferences had changed on their own. And I'm actually going to give you an example of one right now. If you watch the previous Yosemite class that I taught, I said, one of the things I found to be a bit of a pain, I use external speakers, and they can get pretty loud. And I hate it when I hit play on a piece of music, not realizing how loud it is, and it boom, blows my eardrums. And the little noise that it would make when you would increase the volume went away. Well, I found out it was just a setting that had been turned off. So another little setting to mention is if you like that little noise that you hear anytime you increase or decrease the volume, just go here into sound preferences. Note over here it says sound effects, okay? And it's right here. Play feedback when volume is changed. It's a different sound effect now, but that's okay, as long as I have something to reference. So there you go with that. Next thing I want to talk about here is iCloud Drive. Briefly, we're going to come back to iCloud Drive in a second. So go here into where it says iCloud settings. Don't bother emailing this account. Of course, we've got the little spinning rainbow of death because this is a fake account. You can see right here. iCloud Drive, for those of you who are not familiar with it, is a little bit like Dropbox, okay? The difference is that this has slightly better integration into all of the Apple products. So if you are the kind of person who really don't maybe do a heck of a lot on your computer, maybe you have a few documents, you have a few photos, iCloud Drive may be a really good backup solution. Now, I have to at least throw my own little opinion out on this. As much as I love Apple, do I trust them 100%? No, it would be silly for me to do that. You should never trust anyone 100% typically. But what I would recommend doing is always have some sort of a secondary backup of your data. Now, built into the guts of the Mac is this really handy application called Time Machine. Time Machine will only run if you plug an external hard drive into your computer or if you own a special device called a time capsule, which is made by Apple. I always like to make a quick note of this. Not all hard drives are made equally, in my opinion. And I throw that my opinion in there only to legally protect myself. There is a company that I have seen many times, their drives fail seemingly a lot more than the competition. If you would like to see the hard drives that we recommend, we do have a store on PCClassesOnline.com. It's at the top right corner of the website. And basically all that page really is it's links to everything on Amazon. So we're not marking it up. You're getting it at the Amazon prices. And we do get a small commission from Amazon for you purchasing it there, but it's the exact same price had you just gone to Amazon.com. So we appreciate it if you get it through our store. I still recommend having a Time Machine backup. I had to at least throw that out there. Now, if you don't have enough iCloud storage, you can go here to where it says Manage, and on the next screen at the top right, it says Buy More Storage. The plans are really affordable. For example, to go from 5 gigabytes, which is free, to 20 gigabytes a month, it's $1. So it's not a lot of money that we're talking about here. For anyone who's curious, I think I'm right now at 200, which is way more than I really needed to buy. So this account, again, is not a real account. This is one I use only for teaching. But you can check out about iCloud Drive and just make sure you have enough for whatever it is you do. When you do upgrade to a larger iCloud account, you are paying monthly. You are not paying in advance for the year like a lot of services offer. It's month to month. So you can check that out. I believe that does it here for the preferences that we're going to talk about in system preferences. The next thing I would like to talk about is one of the biggest changes that's going to throw off, I suspect, quite a few people about Yosemite. So You know how, for those of you who are used to Mavericks, or for that matter, Mountain Lion, can't remember if they had that feature in Lion or not, but there were these two little arrows at the top right corner of pretty much every single app, okay? And so you'd click on those two arrows and it would expand into full screen, right? That's gone. And I kind of like that because what it's become is something that it really should have been like 7 years ago. So over here at the top left corner, where did my cursor go? Am I on screen too? Yes, I am. At the top left corner, we have the little red button. Everyone knows what that does, right? That closes whatever window you're in. Not the same as quitting, but it closes the window. Yellow dot still minimizes, so that will genie it down into your dock, which is down here next to the trash can. The green button is now full screen. So if you're like me, for the first 2 weeks of owning Yosemite, you're going to keep going over here to the top right when you want to get out of it and forget that it's not there. And that's because it's over here. If you ever want to get out of full screen, typically speaking, there's two different ways to do it. In some applications, you can just simply hit the escape key, top left of your keyboard. The other way that you can do it is just move your cursor to the very, very top corner, or top of the screen, doesn't need to be the corner. Sorry about that. And hit the green dot again, and it will restore it to the normal window size. For me, in my own opinion, I find that programs, apps like Mail, Calendar, and the web, those I love running in full screen. But then there's others where I really like having separate individual windows like FaceTime and iMessages, that kind of thing. Messages, sorry. So you can play with that however you want. But then if you want to navigate back and forth between apps, hopefully everyone knows this. This part has not changed since the last operating system. Generally speaking, the way that you navigate, if you're in full screen mode and want to get now back to, let's say, the desktop, if you're on a laptop, you would take 3 fingers, start it on the left-hand side of your trackpad, and move it to the right. So now we're back over here. And if you want to go back, it's the opposite. 3 fingers, start from the right, move to the left. Okay. If you want to make sure how your preferences are set up, that is all under System Preferences, and just go here into Trackpad Settings. One little heads up for the people who are here. I do intend on creating very soon a class on new to Mac Yosemite Edition. So that's really the entire Mac operating system, not just the new features like we're going over today. But for anyone who's new to the Mac, needs really everything set up for them, we're going to go over all of that. It's going to be a much longer class, but it's going to be very, very thorough. A couple of other little features about Safari. This is, for me, an example of a preference that I noticed was changed on its own. When I first went into Safari, it looked like this. I was like, where'd my bookmarks go? I like my bookmarks. If you go in and you notice that they're not there, just don't worry. Go up here to View. Third item down is Show Favorites Bar. And they come right back. Another minor change, you'll notice they are now center justified, which is cute, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Okay, next feature we're going to go over, let's see. I want to show you a few different things about Safari's preferences. So let's go into that, and we'll go over top sites in a minute. In Safari preferences, there are, let's see, I think 5 different items I wanted to mention here. The first, let's see here, is under search. So if you go to the search tab right here, this is just my own little recommendation. You can have the search field include spotlight suggestions. If you're searching in Safari, why would you care about spotlight suggestions? I would disable that. Again, that's just my opinion. Next feature here I want to show you is under security. Just again, my own opinion. I would definitely recommend that our users check this top option. It will just warn you if you're visiting a fraudulent website. Here's an example of where that's going to be handy. A lot of you out there may have found this. I get several a day at this point, but then again, my email address is far more out there than I would like it to be. I get these fake emails claiming, oh, your iCloud data is out of date. You need to sign back in. And if I was stupid enough to actually click on the link, it would take me to a fake website that looks like iCloud.com, but in fact isn't. You go to try to sign in, and you just gave some hacker your username and password. So if I had actually done that, this would warn me that this is a reported fake website. So regardless, just for your own safety, even if you're an expert, I still recommend using that feature. Next one is under privacy, okay? Last option down here, website tracking. Ask websites not to track me. I always found it very, very strange how they say ask. Why can't you just say do not track me? Anyways, if you are worried about privacy, and yes, I mentioned this in the last class, there is a great mini class that we did on a web extension for Safari called disconnect.me. If you want to see that, you can check it out on our website or on our YouTube page, whatever you want. But it's a very, very nice extension for your web browser, and it's free, so worth checking out. Let's see here. Did I go over all those items? Nope, there's one more I skipped over. Let's go back there. Under advanced over here, okay? This is, again, my own little opinion. In the search field up here, okay, I would recommend having it show the full website address. I actually like that for security purposes. Also, when I'm looking at, which page within a website, I like to really know where I am, not just the general website address. That's just my opinion. You know what? While we're here, I'm going to throw an extra at you. One of the classes that we've taught in the past, I very, very strongly recommend every Mac user go take this class if you haven't already. We have a great class on how to remove adware on your Mac. One of the little problems that has been happening on the Mac, it's not technically speaking a virus, but it's referred to as adware, and it usually infects your web browser where you get these random pop-ups, or it'll direct you to a different website. So you're trying to go to Google and it takes you to some other random website. Usually these are pieces of adware, and they come in the form of extensions. So it's always worth it to just go periodically through your extensions and make sure that whatever you have here is legit. If you don't recognize it, just click uninstall. Okay, there's no harm in doing that. Or if you're really concerned, just turn this feature off. Okay, I mentioned that. Next little minor change here. I'm going to open a new tab and just open a different website here. I'm actually going to open a couple so that we have something to play with. Come on. So, if you look up here at the top left corner of my Safari browser here, we have Show Favorites, okay? So this is a little bit like the former version of Top Sites. This version that you see right here is much more of an icon view, okay? Actually reminds me a lot of an iPad, the way it would look with folders. So if I want to go within my bookmarks for tech, okay, it's basically the exact same thing as going in through here, okay? The other way that you can do this is if you look up here at the top right-hand corner. For those of you who miss Top Sites, you can get it back, okay? It's just right there. But for those of you who don't care about that, you can do that. Let's go over one other little thing here, okay? Instead of clicking back and forth between tabs, there is a new option here. I have to kind of describe to you the motion that I'm going to make on my trackpad. So I want you to imagine I'm taking my fingers and two fingers, starting them wide and pulling them together. Sort of like if you were going to zoom in, but the opposite, okay? It'll kind of pull back and give you this full view of everything that's open. Now, the iCloud account that I use here is one that I used for teaching purposes only. If you actually had multiple devices, you could see other websites that you have open on your other devices. So that's a pretty cool feature. So you can check that out. Let's get out of Safari. Let's go over a few other things here at this point. Moving on, I'm going to show you a little bit about Notification Center. So that is this button at the very, very top right corner of my screen. You notice it got a little bit of a makeover. I like how clean it is now, but you can have it show you immediately the weather. I like the fact that now this weather information is coming from the Weather Channel. It's no longer coming from Yahoo, because some of you who have taken our classes before may be aware of my opinion of Yahoo. By the way, fun little fact. If you use disconnect.me, go to yahoo.com. Find out how many websites are trying to track you every time you go to their website. It's a lot. You can find out stock information, any other information that you have here. For example, items in your calendar, you'll see right here. You can also go to the notification view. Okay, this will give you things like emails that you've received. There's nothing really new with this portion here, but songs that you've downloaded, whatever it may be. Okay, so that's a little bit of Notification Center. Spotlight, I already pretty much showed you right here, but I just wanted to mention one extra little thing here for any of you out there who may be a small business owner. So one of the things that I'm always fascinated with is I'm always interested in finding out how people get their information. So for example, if you are looking at a restaurant review, what is the most likely source that you pulled that information from? So for example, let's throw it out to the live audience here. If you're on an iPhone and you say, hey Siri, where can I get a pizza? And Siri shows you a bunch of restaurants with reviews. Does anyone here know where those reviews are actually coming from? This is the kind of information that a lot of people don't realize is very important, especially if you are that small business owner. And yes, I'm very, very happy to see that so many of our students got it correct. The answer is actually Yelp. What's weird though, and I haven't completely figured this out yet, is that now in addition to Yelp, they're also creating their own database, or so it seems. I'm not 100% positive on this, but I want to at least float this out there for our users to check out on their own. If you have a small business, I would recommend that you take the time to go to and visit the following website. And I had it all ready to go, and now I have to find it again from my history. And it is right here. Okay. mapsconnect.apple.com. So if you have a business that is not currently listed on Apple Maps, and even if it already is, it's still good to go in here and just make sure that the information is current. You can go through and check, make sure that your information is correct. I will give you a little warning. Now, this feature just came out. I tried this for my small business last night. It didn't go well. I think it's because their servers were getting hammered with requests. So when they went to go to call the phone number, which was my cell phone and I had in my hand and did not have Do Not Disturb mode turned on, it didn't ring for 45 minutes for that confirmation call. So I'm not sure if it's a glitch because it's new or whatever it may be, but just a little word to the warning. If you're right now taking this class, you might want to wait a week or so before actually doing this. But it's a good idea to promote your business as best you can. That's one little trick I wanted to throw out there. Another change in Yosemite is that you will notice iTunes has a new look. And perhaps by the tone of my voice, you can tell my own opinion. I hate it. iTunes has a completely redesigned look. Not a fan. I have to at least throw that out there. When you first go in, it looks a little bit more like this, okay? So here's what I would recommend doing. When you go into iTunes, I would switch to Playlist View, which you see here at the sort of top center of the screen, and it'll normally look like this. My own opinion, I would switch it to Songs View, top right. Let me give you an example where I find this to be very annoying. When you go into the iTunes store from music, okay, you're just in the music portion of iTunes. It used to be, remember, we had these buttons at the very top, so you go into movies, TV shows, apps. Now you have to switch categories over here at the top left. So I don't find it has a good flow to it. It's my own opinion. I'm entitled to it, okay? I don't want to read everyone saying that my opinion is crap in the comments section later on after the video is published. But that's just my own thing. So to go back between the store and your music, you've got to do a lot of switching. There's a lot of process here. I'm sure we'll end up having to do a class on iTunes in the near future, but iTunes did get a new look, so I thought I'd at least mention that. Let's go back to iCloud Drive. So the way you get into iCloud Drive is through Finder. It's actually, again, very, very similar to how you would get into Dropbox if you use Dropbox. You'll notice that it's now here at the top left corner when you open your Finder window. And yes, that's a joke for those people who might get that reference. So we have pages, documents. You can create your own folders just the way you would normally create any folder. You can secondary click and hit new folder, and you'll have access to these files on your various devices. Here's the one part that I really don't like about iCloud Drive. Again, my opinion. I think iCloud Drive should actually have an option. It should be like an app that you can access on your iPad so that I can really go in and see the files, because it doesn't really work that way. If I put Pages documents in here to open those Pages documents on my iPad, I need to go into Pages first and then go to iCloud Drive to find them. Not the way personally I would have wanted it to be programmed. But then again, I'm not the CEO of Apple yet. Hint, hint. Anyways, no, I'm never going to be. I could never take that. iCloud Drive, that's the way it works. You can really store anything that you want in there. I love the cloud. I, for the most part, trust the cloud, but there's that 1% part of me that really kind of says, well, what if? Because if everyone stores everything that's important in the cloud, don't you think it's going to be a target? So I still recommend having a backup of your data. Again, that's where Time Machine comes into play. I'm not trying to repeat myself. Next feature that I'm going to mention, I cannot demonstrate it because of the way that I have my equipment set up, is a feature called Hotspot. Now, in order for Hotspot to work, you do have to have an iPhone, and you have to already have this feature enabled with whatever your carrier may be. So what this allows you to do is plug your iPhone into your computer, go up here to your Wi-Fi icon, and you would theoretically see your iPhone listed right here. And you would be able to use your iPhone as an internet connection. Because you're plugged in, there's no longer a need for a password, so it's just automatic. It just does it. But again, that's something I cannot really demonstrate for you today just because of my setup. It does require you to have the same Apple ID signed in to both devices. That's the reason why I can't do it. Next feature is handoff. Again, in order to enable handoff, that's under system preferences in general. And I have never had handoff really work that well. It's worked one way for me. It's not really worked that well the other way. It's hard for me to demonstrate this, but I'll attempt to do it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to theoretically mirror my iPad so that all of you can see it. Let's all say a little prayer. Okay, and it should, hey, there we go. You can see my iPad and there's no porn on it. Even better. Ugh, embarrassment, not fun. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I am going to open Safari. Okay, this is going to get a little bit crowded here on the screen. Okay, so I just have Google open right here. And on my iPad, this is a simulated image, but it is my actual iPad. I'm going to hit the sleep switch, okay, and just hit the home button. And let's pray this works. Nope, didn't work. Theoretically, the way this should work, yes, I have Bluetooth on. In order to do handoff, you do have to have Bluetooth turned on both of your devices, okay? But if it were working correctly, at the bottom left corner here of my iPad, I should see a little Safari icon, and it would allow me to slide up, and I could just resume where I left off on my iPad. So, unfortunately, not quite working for me today. Next feature that we're going to talk about, though, let's see here. Making phone calls on your Mac. This is a really, really great feature. It works reasonably well. My little caveat would be I would not use this professionally. Okay, if you have a big, important meeting that you're going to have, I would not make a phone call from your Mac unless maybe you have a really, really good microphone. It just doesn't work that well. When you're making a phone call from your phone, your mouth is 2 inches away from the microphone, whereas on your computer, you're usually at least a foot away. So the reports a lot of people are seeing these days is that it's fair to poor quality, but it does work. So the way that you can enable it, there's several different methods. You can use your contacts. So if I go into contacts here and I go to call Chip Capelli, of course that's his real phone number. I can just, click the little phone here and it's going to call him, and I'll be able to place the call through my computer. Option 2 is you can do it through the FaceTime app. You can actually, oh God, you're going to see me. See, I told you I'm still recovering. Okay. Actually, that doesn't look horrible. Don't mind the tripod in the background. Okay, look here at the top left corner. You'll see it says enter a name, email, or phone number. So if I were to just simply type in, I could just type in a phone number, hit enter, and I could call that person. Okay, in this case, I'd call in Chip Capelli's fake phone number. Let's get out of that. The other option is if you go into just simply Safari. If you hover your cursor over a phone number, you'll see you get a little option. There's going to be a little arrow there. Let's see if I can do this. Who am I going to pick on today? Let's say I'm going to pester a local business where I live. I'm going to call Twisted Pizza in Provincetown. The best pizza that you can get in Provincetown. So if I hover, and hopefully this feature will work today. Okay, not so much. It's trying to do it through Hangouts. Let's see if I highlight it, if that works better. There we go. I highlighted the phone number with my cursor. See that little arrow that I get? And now I can place a FaceTime audio call. Pretty cool, huh? All right, that's that. Moving on to my page 2 of notes. Got that. iMessages. Great little feature here. For any of you out there who have parents or grandparents who need the occasional tech support house call and hopefully don't have my phone number because God knows it blows up way too much, this is a great option. You can actually share your computer screen either to control someone else's or to take control of someone else's screen right here through iMessages. I can't completely show you this feature here. Again, it has to do with how we have our equipment set up here. For our class on Saturday, I'm hoping we might be able to make that happen. So I'm going to get you as close as I can. So here we have a conversation with my assistant. Notice here at the top right corner it says details. Okay, you would click on that. And you see this icon right here. It looks like two boxes in front of each other, one box in front of the other. You would click on that and you would get a few drop-down options. And that's where you can either share your screen with someone else or you can request permission to see their screen. Now, once you've done that, if you want to take control, okay, you're going to see that same icon appear up here in your top menu bar. So that's where you're going to find those options. It's really cool. I think it's an amazing feature. The technology that I use for my small business when I'm working privately with clients, I don't just do private lessons with people in person. Occasionally I do a private lesson with someone who lives at home, and which is maybe states or even in a different country. I pay $1,400 for a license to do that, and now you can do it right here through iMessages for free. Sheesh. But that's something you can now do. Final feature that we're going to be talking about here today, one other thing with iMessages, is that if you do have an iPhone, you can now do an SMS text message with people who have non-iPhones. And this is one of those features where I said, hallelujah, when I saw this feature enabled, because it's so annoying when you have so many friends with iPhones and then you have that one friend with an Android and you want to chat with them through your computer and it's like, I gotta go whip out my phone and do it that way. Personally, I like typing better on a keyboard, a real keyboard, than I do with my thumbs. So that's my own little preference. Now what it will do is you can have a text message conversation. It's actually using your phone, so your phone does need to be in close proximity to your computer. I think it's actually 30 feet, which for most people means it's going to be in the same building, but it will actually allow you to do it now through iMessages. So nice that we have that feature now. Finally, one more feature here. I'm hoping it's going to work. It did work for me when I was running a test run of this class, is you can now airdrop between multiple devices. So, for example, let's say I have this little 3D logo that I created for my small business called the Mac Guru. I want to send it to my iPad, okay? On my iPad right now, you know what? Let's mirror again real quickly so you can see the full process of this. Wiki. Here we go. Okay. So I'm moving my iPad off to the side here. So on your iPad you can slide up from the very, very bottom and you get Control Center here. Okay. I would recommend if you're going to airdrop, it's a good idea to be on that screen. It just, for whatever reason, the reliability seems to work better and make sure here where it says AirDrop, you have it set appropriately. You can either have it set to contacts only, everyone. Obviously, if it's set to off, this is not going to work. But this is just an easy way to transmit data from one device to multiple devices. And I'll give you an example where I use this in a minute. So if I'm on that screen and I want to send this file, okay, from my computer, all I have to do is click on it so that it's highlighted. See this icon, this share button up here at the very top? Again, that's share, S-H-A-R-E, not the singer. Go to AirDrop, okay. Ooh, David A. Cox's iPad. We click on it, and hopefully, if we get lucky... Apple, look what you're making me look like. Oi. All right, that's not working too hot. Let's see if we can do it with a different file. Maybe we can get a little bit something better. Let's go into my ads and graphics folder. No, we're not going to use my business card because I don't feel like throwing my phone number in front of a couple thousand people. Okay, let's do... Of course, now I can't find anything. Okay, let's just look at a graphic. Okay, let's try using this. AirDrop. Come on, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Send. It's not doing it. Okay. Anyways, that's how AirDrop should work. So, you heard my opinion at the beginning of this class. I think, hey, it worked. Oh my goodness, I spoke way too soon. Except, thank God, now I have my logo on my iPad. Because what would I do without that? So I hope you enjoyed that little segment there. Again, for where it is right now, I feel like they still have quite a few little bugs that need to be worked out. For the people who are here live, I think, you know what, if you wait like 6 weeks, I think that's probably a good time frame after any operating system to say, you know what, 6 weeks after the public release, they're going to have whatever problems worked out. And hopefully those are not famous last words of mine. But for right now, I'd wait a little bit. But I think it's going to be great when it's ready, when it's really, really ready. And for one last little thing, for any Apple employees who are watching this, and yes, I am aware that there are a few people at Apple who do follow me and follow what classes that we're creating, and I'm flattered by that. I have to at least float this out there. I remember the day when Apple, back in the day when Apple would say, you know what, we're going to delay something because it's not ready. And Steve Jobs, you know, even though he may have been a bit of a jerk as far as a people person goes to some of the staff at Apple, he was really good at getting stuff done and getting it done well. And that's like one concern that I have about Apple where they are right now. I still think they're creating amazing hardware. Johnny Ives, the brain of the Apple products as far as design goes, is doing a spectacular job. The problem I have is more with the rollout. You know, the art of a rollout, well, it is that. It is an art form. And I feel like they've lost that a little bit. And to anyone at Apple who's watching this, I have to at least throw out my opinion because I do work with, you know, several 100,000 people through these classes. I would love to see you guys slow down a little bit. Who cares about what Android is doing? Let them do their own thing. Just get it right. Once this is perfect, it's going to be great. But until then, for right now, I'm recommending to our members of PC Classes Online to just hold off for about 6 weeks, probably, before really upgrading everything. A couple other minor things just to mention about little problems I've noticed a few people have had. There are a few apps that seem to have some compatibility issues. Mainly, if you are running an older version of Parallels, you may need to upgrade. If you are going to be upgrading, you can get a copy through our little store. It's there. It's under Mac software. There's a category for that in the PCO store. iWork09 will not run, unfortunately. Yahoo Messenger, for the 5 people out there who still actually use Yahoo Messenger, one of which is apparently my mentor, Steve. Seriously, dude, get over it. Is not working correctly. Final Cut Pro, some of the older versions that were not upgraded, those will not run. So I'm sure there's other pieces of software, but anytime you're going to be upgrading to a new operating system, also another key thing, always make sure that your printer is compatible. with the current one. I can tell you this right now. Mine right here, Prince Fine, will not scan. So, brother, help me out here. Do a brother a favor. So, everyone, that does it for today's class. For the people who are here live, I'm going to stick around and answer their questions. For anyone who's been tuning in through YouTube or our website, I thank you very much for taking your time to watch this class. We do appreciate it if you click that little like button, for those of you on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel. Check out all of our videos, of course, on our website. And I thank you for joining us. Class dismissed.